Good. We'll call this council meeting to order at 6 p.m. Need a motion for adoption of the minutes, please.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held at City Hall on Monday, May 14th, 2018 be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Wall and seconded by Councillor Espy. All those in favor? And that's carried. We have one delegation this evening. Al Braun and Vern Crandall, we'd like to welcome you. You're going to speak to us about the assisted living project. We think we've got the mics working, Al, so good.
Sounds that way anyway. Well, Vern and I will both be speaking, but I'll be up here first and then hand it over to him in a few minutes. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge Mayor Ferris and council and the guests here, and thank you for the privilege of being able to again come. I think it was just about a year ago, or just over a year ago, we were here and we were talking about the council partnering with Assisted Living Group in establishing a project here in Portage, and we were asking the city for some property, and thankfully that has happened, and so as a board we have moved ahead quickly. Probably that's a term that I might not have to use, but as projects go, we've done a lot of work since then. The community at large is still continuing to be very supportive of the project, and we have intentionally not been too vocal about it because there's been some details that have been kind of fluid, but we've reached a point now where we think it's time to become more public, to talk about the project, and so we wanted to come and bring the City Council and you, Mr. Mayor, up to speed on where we are today. So that's the motive for us being here today. It's more information for you, and to continue to ask for your continued support in this particular project. As I said, the community has been asking questions. Is the project still alive? Is it going ahead? And when can we expect something to do? I don't have answers for all of those questions, but I have answers for some of those kind of questions. The board has been working hard, very hard, in the past year and is making good progress. The project has moved. A project like this has many moving parts, and it takes all of these moving parts to come together so the project can move ahead. And so that's not news to you guys. You know all about moving parts and having them to come together. But we are making progress. These are some of the activities that we have completed or are in the process of completing, and I'll identify them. Some of them I will expand a little bit on. Some you may already know about, so bear with me. We have organized a local building committee and incorporated and are incorporated as a not-for-profit organization. Initial progress of we have initially processed the registration of a nonprofit corporation and are moving towards charitable status. We toured numerous assisted living senior housing facilities to gain better understanding of current building design and operations. We secured a suitable site for for the proposed project on the eastern edge of Portage la Prairie, immediately east of the Portage Clinic, and negotiated with the city for the donation of that site, for which we are very grateful. Our board at their last meeting was just this past week agreed to sign the sales agreement and the development agreement that your staff has worked on very diligently with us, and we are at the point and that we are ready to sign that agreement at this point. So I'm very pleased with the way the staff has handled that and been open to our suggestions and the interaction with us. So that went well. We engaged an experienced development team to assist in the planning and of the proposed project. Developed a preliminary concept with primary capital and operating budgets. The concept report is a very comprehensive document prepared for us by our development consultant. It includes the budgets that I referred to, not only the capital budget but also an operating budget, and based on those numbers, this particular project will be running at about $15 million. That's a lot of money. Some of you have met our development consultant, Wade Castus. He has put together an experienced team consisting of an architect, general contractor, mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, and of course himself. Their input has been invaluable in developing a preliminary plan. In addition, Wade attends our board meetings and provides valuable input from his years of experience doing similar projects as this. We've introduced the project to both the federal and the provincial government and open discussion regarding possible financial support. The provincial government has signed a letter of understanding with the federal government regarding housing funding. The provincial government indicates that there will be a call for proposals sometime this fall. We are working very hard to make sure that our application will be ready and will rank very high on the list. Many opportunities. We would ask that if any of you have opportunity to discuss our project with any of your provincial government colleagues, that you would do so. We would be deeply grateful for your assistance in those kind of areas. We've decided on a name for the project. As we met at our last board meeting, one of the board members looked at our agenda and saw that that was one of the issues on the agenda, and he just settled in for about an hour's discussion. That didn't happen. In fact, we came to a conclusion to name the project Dufferin Villa. It came together very quickly, and we're very pleased with the name, that it's going to be called Dufferin Villa. We are embarking on a community fundraising project in the very near future. We've met with a development project fundraiser just very recently, and some of that process is underway for us as well. Not a lot of details available on that at this point, but we look forward to that coming on stream as soon as possible. We will distribute an insert. This insert that I have here, there are copies available for all of you if you want one. In the room next door as well, there's going to be plans of the facility that you're welcome to have a look at. This brochure will be circulated through the Herald Leader Press that has a circulation of not only Portage but the surrounding areas of just about 10,000 people. On it, there is what we refer to as an expression of interest. We will invite the people to fill this out and return it to us, giving us a clear indication of when they are interested, what they're interested in, and those kind of things. So that will be appearing, I think, in the next possibly 2 weeks. To help guide the future planning of Dufferin Villa, the corporation is interested in gaining better understanding of the number of people that would consider moving into the proposed project. We are also interested in any comments and or suggestions they might have. The return of these expressions of interest is vital for our preparation of the form for provincial funding application. So we need to have a clear indication of how the interest level that there is within this community. So that's all I have. Are there any questions briefly now that you might have? If not, I'll turn it over to Vern and he will tell you all about what living at Dufferin Villa will look like.
Any questions from council for Mr. Braun? Okay, you're in the clear. Great name, by the way.
You like it?
Yeah, I like it.
Good, thank you. Thank you. I'll then turn it over to Vern, and he'll tell you, give you some details of what it will look like.
Thank you, Al, and thank you, Mayor and Council, for accepting us here tonight. So, as you can see on the screen, we're looking at the almost 65,000 square foot building comprised of 53 units, 36 one-bedroom, 17 two-bedroom units. The apartments are being designed as a fully equipped, spacious, accessible. They're accessible for those with diverse mobility needs. They'll all feature private bathrooms with a bathtub and a separate shower, kitchen and stove, refrigerator, stove and refrigerator, ample storage space, in-suite laundry. Everybody gets a private balcony, and individually controlled heating and air conditioning. Building will also have a spacious central dining room, seating approximately 104 people. When we've got 53 suites, we know that we have extra space for our proposed second phase of this project. That's one of the things that we did in the design of this, is we designed it to expand it later. It's going to cost us a little bit more now. It'll save us money in the long run. And there's a multi-purpose room for crafts, exercise classes, planned activities, Sunday worship. There's a games room, a library, hair salon, a private guest suite for out-of-town visitors. So if somebody's there and family comes from wherever, there is a suite that they can rent by the night rather than having to go to a hotel or motel. And there's parking, 69 parking stalls, which includes 54 exterior, and we have the potential for a 15-stall garage if necessary. Residents will be assisted by a package of supported services, including the lunch and dinner meals served in the dining room each day, weekly housekeeping and daily garbage collection, on-site building management and maintenance, on-site activities coordinator to plan social and recreational activities and excursions, and assortment of additional services such as visiting healthcare professionals, all intended to support independent and healthy living. We hope to have our own home care person in the building. If you want to go to the second slide, please. So this is the basic floor plan for the main floor. And if my pointer will work, and it doesn't show up on the screen. Okay. So as you can see, it's kind of an L-shaped building. The bottom of the L is the dining room on the very south edge of the building, multi-purpose room across from that, and then a long single hallway with 17 suites on each floor, I think, if I remember right. The shaded area at the bottom allows us enough space to put another 53 suites or possibly more in the future. As I said, the dining room and kitchen are centrally located so that when we add the second phase, there's no extra costs in that regard. We looked at Steinbach's model. They put the kitchen and dining room in the middle, so when they added the second phase, they had to put in another kitchen and dining room. That increases your costs and your manpower costs down the road.
Vernon was at the ends they put them.
Yeah.
He said middle.
Sorry. Okay, and the next slide shows you a little better image of the main floor, again showing dining room, multi-purpose room, parking spots, and your suites. As Al had mentioned, we have larger plans in the room next door if you want to come and have a look at them after the meeting. So next slide, please. And second and third floors are basically identical to the main floor, other than there will be no, you'll just be looking out over the roof of the multi-purpose room and the kitchen area. And the next slide will show you a one-bedroom suite. So we're looking at approximately 652 square feet, all fully wheelchair accessible. Doors are oversized to allow wheelchairs through, and what I forgot to mention, in the main building, hallways are wide enough for wheelchairs to pass one on either side. No problems with congestion. As you can see, they all have a balcony. In the one-bedroom suite, you have a separate tub and shower, and storage, as we indicated, full kitchen. And if you go to the next slide, it shows your two-bedroom suite. So 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. One bathroom has a tub, the other has a shower. And it'll be a walk-in shower so that with a wheelchair, you can roll in and have a shower without having to get out of the wheelchair. Same in the one bedroom. Ample storage space, again, individual heat and air conditioning, private balcony. And if we go to the next one, I think, the 2-bedroom suites are approximately 927 square feet. They're not small. Adequate space. And I guess the biggest question is price. Now, if we can fund it the way we hope to, these are life lease properties. So there will be upfront residential equity. For a 1-bedroom, we're estimating $49,000, which is refundable when the occupants leave. For a 2-bedroom, $69,000. We think that's compatible with what's here at the present time. Monthly rents on a 1-bedroom will be about $1,800 per month, and on a 2-bedroom, approximately $2,200 a month. Now that rent includes 2 meals per day, your housekeeping, security, clothes washer and dryer, and all that kind of stuff, and Lifeline. So what it doesn't include is your telephone, cable TV, and reserved parking. Other than that, everything's included. If a second person was in the suite, it costs you an extra $400 a month, mainly for the food and other activities that they'll be participating in. Questions?
Questions from council?
Vern, you indicated that, or Al did, that you're incorporated but don't have charitable status yet?
We're working on it. The federal government does not work quickly.
Really?
We have now employed a lawyer to help us with the application. So she is based in Winnipeg, but she does a lot of charitable status applications, and we think that that might speed the process along. So.
And I I think the city is still receiving if you have donations, if you're thinking of your big fundraiser. The city's still in a position to do that until that status comes through for your group.
Great, thank you. Yes, Brent.
You mentioned a survey or an expression of interest that people could fill out.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your first indication of how many people?
No, we have approximately 35 names on a list already,
Okay.
just with the little bit of information that's been out there in about the past year or so. Yeah, after we gave our presentation to council a year ago, we had the phones ringing right then saying, when can we get in?
So there's no concern that you wouldn't be able to fill this building?
Personally, I think we'll fill this within, before it's ever built, I'll put it that way. Yeah, it'll be full before it's built. And my personal feeling is that we'll be building that second phase within a few years.
Any other questions from council? Well, I want to thank you for all of you coming out this evening and presenting. This is very exciting. Your group has made a lot of progress. I think it was 2 or 3 months ago we sat down, and yeah, this is very impressive. And we're very excited when it comes time for the fundraising. Let us know what we can do to help out. And
if you got any rich uncles, we'd be really nice. We could even change the name for a right price.
We'll see about that. Most of our uncles are gone, I think.
Cousins? We're not sure. We're not cousins. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We have handouts here if you're interested. They'll be in the room next door.
Okay, thank you, Vern. We had another presenter, another delegation scheduled. They have canceled. They won't be appearing this evening. So we're going to move into hearings. We're going to open the public hearing for variation PC 3318. This is for ends. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of or opposed to the application?
Lisa Ends. Yeah, Lisa.
Lisa. Welcome. Go ahead.
Oh, didn't know I had to prepare a speech. Yeah, basically just we want to be able to build a covered entrance. So it's like a deck with a roof over top. It's not an enclosed thing. So in order to give it enough accessibility to properly be able to walk in the front door, we need to have a little bit more space out the front. And the garage is also a little bit farther forward, but not all the way. And our concern there is we have a beautiful old healthy birch tree that prevents us from moving the garage further back on the property. So.
Were there any questions from council for Ms. Sens? Okay, thank you very much. Need a motion to close the hearing?
Resolved that the public hearing for variation PC 33-18 ends 620 3rd Street Northwest now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Fraze. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
We heard the background here from Ms. Enns that they wish to build a covered front entrance and an attached garage. And because we all like trees, we don't want to see that healthy tree removed. Similar variations have also been passed in this area, and they are listed there. This building is in a residential single-family zone. The application has been circulated to various city departments with no concerns, and public notices have been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius. It is the recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Lowell and Lisa Enns to vary the front yard requirement of 7.5 meters to be reduced to 5.867 meters to allow for a covered front entrance and an attached garage at the property known as 620 3rd Street Northwest, which is legally described as lots 2829, Block 2, Plan 343, Parish of Portage la Prairie. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Fraze. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. That's our only hearing this evening, so we're going to move into committees. First up is Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee, and tonight for Councillor Buds. Councillor Wall, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Having just heard a presentation on the assisted living, we now come to the land sale and development agreement with Portage la Prairie Assisted Living Corporation. At their July 10th, 2017 meeting, Council passed Resolution 2017-0129 approving the sale of an approximate 3.75 acre piece of the larger 62.43 acre parcel known as roll number 341905, legally described as Parcel B, Plan 35396, to Portage la Prairie Assisted Living Corporation for the price of $1. City Council committed to assuming the upfront costs of infrastructure, being the connection of water service from 9th Street Southwest to the property line of the proponent's parcel of interest, to accommodate this project, with the purchaser to be responsible for all costs in relation to the sale and transfer of the property. The land sale and development agreement is attached. As outlined, the main responsibilities are as follows. The municipality is responsible for installing or arranging to be installed paved roads, streetlights, grass boulevard within the public road right-of-way located immediately north of the land. The municipality is responsible for installing or arranging to be installed lines for water, gravity flow sanitary sewer services, land drainage, natural gas, electricity, telephone, cable television, and internet service facilities which shall run within the public road right-of-way located immediately north of the land, known as the main lines. The purchaser must commence construction of the facility on or before 31st of December 2019 or such other date as vendor and purchaser agree in writing. Construction of the facility shall be carried out expeditiously thereafter. The term commence construction shall mean construction of foundation. The developer is responsible for arranging installation and construction and paying all associated costs for the following: service lines connecting the facility to the main line, land drainage on the land, paved road access from the paved municipal road to the property lines of the land with curb, and concrete sidewalk along the frontage of the land required when it can be reasonably connected to a city sidewalk network. The administrative recommendation is that the City Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approved the proposed land sale and development agreement with Portage la Prairie Assisted Living Corporation and authorize the Mayor and City Manager to sign the agreement on behalf of the City.
Moved by Councillor Wall and seconded by Councillor Dreger. Any comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Next, Your Worship, we have to finalize negotiations with our CUPE union for a 4-year agreement. CUPE 2014-2016 collective agreement expired on December 31st, 2016. Council provided administration negotiation parameters in preparation for the contract renewal process. Negotiations were completed with CUPE 1002 within the parameters specified by Council. The tentative agreement has been ratified by CUPE 1002 members. Some highlights of the new collective agreement changes are as follows. A 4-year agreement with salary increases of 2% each year of 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. Workers' Compensation Board top-up to a maximum of 6 months. Reimbursing for safety clothing changed from 50-50 cost share up to $400 to the city paying 100% up to a maximum of $200. Effective January 1st, 2019, the wellness allowance will be paid out on the first pay in December, and introduction of a letter of understanding specific to P3 and the water pollution control facility. Additional wording changes are outlined in the tentative agreement attached. The administrative recommendation is, and I so move, that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie authorize the Mayor and City Manager to sign the agreement with CUPE Local 1002.
Moved by Councillor Wall and seconded by Councillor Dreger. Any questions or comments on the motion?
Well, seeing as how we have Manager of HR here, I'm just wondering, do we have a cost of all the different items besides the salary increases?
No, not on hand.
Not on
didn't.
hand? Okay.
Yeah.
No. Probably an unfair question you were not prepared for. The agreement includes quite a bit of wording regarding the P3 project that's coming somewhere down the road. And our employees are satisfied that all their concerns have been met and they'll be well taken care of should the P3 happen?
Yes, the city and CUPE worked really well and hard together on making sure the language in the letter of understanding further referenced the commitment that was made in council in September, which outlined the commitment to staff on wages, benefits, transferring either to or back, and it put timelines on that, and it was modeled after Regina's. So both parties worked really hard on it, and both were satisfied at the end.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor? And that's carried. That concludes.
That concludes my report, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Wall. City Planning and Economic Development. Councillor Dreger, please.
One item on this committee's agenda this evening, and it's one that we discussed 2 weeks ago in committee, and it's the application received from Chris Beers of CHB Developments for the subdivision of the present holding of 10,890 square feet into two lots of 3,920.4 square feet and 6,969 square feet. And it is the intention of Mr. Beers to build a two-family dwelling on the proposed lots. There's other multi-story apartment buildings and several multi-low-rise residential buildings and institutional and cultural facilities in this neighborhood. The zoning bylaw amendment will be required to rezone the property to R2, two-family dwelling zone. And there's comments from several departments. Highways, a permit is required from the Highway Traffic Board for the proposed two-family dwelling, since both proposed lots are within within the Provincial Trunk Highway 1 control area. Bell MTS requires an easement, Manitoba Hydro requires easements, and Portage la Prairie Planning District recommends approval. Land titles A2 plan subdivision is required. Community and Regional Planning recommends approval of the subdivision applicant or application subject to the rezoning of the proposed Lot 7. Administrative recommendation is that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the subdivision of Block 6, Plan 1657, Portage Land Titles Office in River Lot 994, Parish of Portage la Prairie, to form two new lots, Lot 1, 3,920.4 square feet, and Lot 2, 6,969.6 square feet. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Fraze. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
And that's everything for this committee.
Thank you very much. Community Services Committee, Councillor Fraze, please.
Thank you, Worship. Community Service Committee has nothing on tonight's agenda.
Okay. There is one item I should probably ask Victoria Olson if she could comment on. Last Thursday we had visits from two ministers, and one of them was the Minister of Justice. The Minister of Justice came out for the kickoff of the new hub program, which was a very exciting day for Portage and certainly for the committee, and got a lot of notice outside the community of Portage. So if you wouldn't mind, just for the folks that weren't there, just kind of bringing us all up to date.
Thank you, Your Worship, and good evening, councillors. So last Thursday, we did launch the Portage la Prairie Hub. It is a community mobilization effort being launched in Portage. We did have our first meeting, and we will be meeting regularly on Tuesdays and Thursdays moving forward. This is a group of human service delivery agencies who have come together to break down silos that they're working in to provide a multi-sectoral collaboration to individuals and families who are identified as being at acutely elevated risk. So we're very excited to get this off the ground. Some of the community partners include Addictions, Child and Family Services, Probation, Manitoba Housing, the Portage la Prairie School Division, Portage la Prairie RCMP, a couple of community organizations, Rock Central and Youth for Christ, as well as they run two of the rec centers, community resource centers, pardon me, in the northeast and northwest corners. Myself, I sit on the hub table as the chair and collect de-identified data. So we're really excited to be able to gather some of these statistics on what risks are most prominent in Portage and demographics, where they're happening and that sort of thing. So we did have the Minister of Justice come out to speak to our efforts on Thursday and talk about the support coming from the province as an in-kind commitment to community mobilization efforts province-wide. So we have begun. Is there any questions?
The first door knock, I was told the kickoff took place about 11. The first door knock was 1:30 or 2 in the afternoon. How did that go, or can you comment?
I cannot comment. Just it's really strict about privacy, but we will be collecting the data, and we also haven't had a second meeting, so I can't speak to that yet. But no, we would never. We would never provide the community with feedback on how something like that went, to respect the privacy of the individuals and families that we're helping.
Okay, well, thank you very much for updating us. Waterworks Committee, Councillor Wall, please.
Waterworks Committee has nothing to report, Your Worship.
Thank you. Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. This evening we do have the PDRI contract extension proposal. I did review this report to Council in quite detail last committee meeting. However, tonight we are looking to either award the contract to PDRI or issue a tender for the collection of processing of recyclables. Just a quick review, PDRI has proposed to continue their service to the City of Portage la Prairie for a contract extending for 6 years, along with e-waste and hazardous waste processing. They have offered either a fixed fee or a unit fee to go forward with the city. Do note that there was a change to the report to Council, so PDRI has indicated that their carriers for material leaving the processing facility access a fuel surcharge but never a credit. Therefore, they cannot offer a credit back. So that did change through the report to Council. As I said, we did review this in quite length last meeting, so I'll just go through the administrative recommendation. If there's any questions, then please let me know. The administrative recommendation is that Council offer a 3-year contract to Portage and District Recycling for the following terms. Number 1, a flat annual fee as proposed for 3 years for the collection and processing of residential recyclables and acceptance and processing of e-waste, hazardous waste, and oil waste. Number 2, a monthly fee a monthly fuel pricing adjustment surcharge only with a defined initial rate of 115.9 per liter and adjusted according to a monthly rate determined by Statistics Canada for Winnipeg, applicable to 37.5% of the monthly fixed fee rate. Electronic waste to be accepted at the depot and processed. Household hazardous waste materials as defined by Product Care Association be accepted at the depot and processed. And finally, oil and oil containers and antifreeze containers to be accepted at the depot and processed. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Draycott and seconded by Councillor Espy. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
And finally, Your Worship, I would ask Councillor Appa or Ms. Espy if they would go through some information, just as Touch a Truck was postponed last week, and so that will be taking place tomorrow, I believe. But if we could have an update? I know operations will be there, so.
Yes, so we decided to postpone the Touch a Truck event from last Thursday to tomorrow, so it'll still be at the same time, and hopefully we'll have some of the same trucks there. But I know that some of them weren't able to come because of due to the cancellation, so we hope to see you all there.
And that time is?
4:30 until 6:30.
Thank you, Councillor Appa, and that is all for transportation.
Thank you, Councillor Draycott. Councillor Espy, Public Safety, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Public Safety Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. We have no deferred business. However, we have one piece of new business this evening, Bylaw 18-8673, EC 34-18. This is rezoning. This is for first reading, City Planning and Economic Development. Councillor Dreger, please.
Yes, the issue this evening is to commence the zoning amendment process by rezoning the mentioned property from a limited agricultural to multifamily residential to the City of Portage la Prairie zoning bylaw number 10-8492 and giving the bylaw number 18-8673 first reading. The Portage la Prairie Development Plan has an outline there of items that must be followed in order to process this rezoning. The application will be circulated to the province for review and comment after the first reading. As per Section 74(1) of the Planning Act, Council shall indicate its intention to enact the zoning bylaw amendment by giving first reading and proceed with public notice as set out in Section 168. The first reading of bylaw number 18-8673 will commence the process as defined in the Planning Act in considering this application. It is the recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie give bylaw number 18-8673 first reading and provide public notices as defined in Section 168 of the Planning Act. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Fraze. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. We have no old business, so council will adjourn at 6:42 p.m. We're going to move right into committee, and for people that haven't been here before, committee is open to the public, it's open to the media, and you're welcome to stay. Good to go. And we'll call committee to order at 6:43 p.m. First up is Finance, Legislative, and Property Committees. Councillor Wall, please.
Yes, Your Worship. We'll be reviewing the management and confidential employee manual changes and salary increases. The manual for 2017 to 2020 will be adjusted with the following changes, similar to settlement with CUPE as follows. 4-year agreement with salary increases of 2% each year. Workers' compensation top up to a maximum of 6 months. Effective January 1st, 2019, the wellness allowance paid out in December up to 7 hours a year to be used to support volunteer activities in the community with the manager's approval, which I think is a very nice idea. Changes to acting pay to include appointed employees receiving step 1 of the position if the appointment's greater than 3 weeks. The current acting pay clause has the appointee receiving the salary of the incumbent after 6 months. Additional minor wording changes. Fire chief and deputy chiefs increases consistent with IAFF union agreement. There are a few outstanding items still being reviewed, which will likely come to effect in January of 2019, subject to council approval. The other item will be council indemnity. And we will have the option to approve council indemnity increases from 2018 to 2020 or not approve them as we see fit. Council indemnity bylaw sets out provisions for benefits and salaries. The council indemnity rate for 2017 and the first half of 2018 remained the same rate as 2016, as council declined a retroactive increase. Historically, the indemnity bylaw is reviewed after the QP contract is settled. It's proposed that council indemnities for council be increased 2% effective pay 12/2018, 2% effective pay 1 for 2019, and 2% effective pay 1 for 2020. So that will be coming forward at our next council meeting. And that's all I have, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Wall. City Planning and Economic Development, Councillor Dreger, please.
2 items on the agenda this evening. The first one is similar to the subdivision that we considered for CHB developments this evening. This is consideration of the application for the subdivision of Lot 1 and Part Lot 2 to form 2 lots from the present holding at 76 5th Street Southeast. And the details of this application are outlined for council as you consider this application. So there is again comments from MTS. They have no concern. Manitoba Hydro requires an easement agreement, and the Portage la Prairie Planning District recommends approval. So we will be bringing that forward at next council meeting. And the second item is the 2018 building reports, and similar to what we have grown accustomed to last year and so far this year, it is just all good news. The number of permits that have been issued through the planning district are similar to last year, year to date, but the value of those permits have more than doubled. And so that indicates some pretty big projects in the community. Both, I will just add that that's both in the city and the RM. And if council has any questions about that?
I just had a question about the subdivision application. So if I read it right, if this goes through, the duplex will lose the parking. There will be no parking or access to parking. And maybe this is a question for Mr. Brooks, I'm not sure. But it's the subdivision is supported by the planning district, but the bylaw is unclear about the parking requirements, or whether we can have parking in front of buildings. Is that about... I guess my question is around the parking. Mr. Cannell, Mr. Brooks, any comments on the parking arrangements for this?
There's nothing that says you can't park in a front yard. 90% of the houses around Portage have front yard parking. That's where their driveways are, front yard, and everybody parks. Their front garages are typical, so they can't have parking in the front yard.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank
I
you,
have no more
Councillor
items
Dreger.
to present.
Community Service Committee, Councillor Fraser, please.
Thank you, Worship. Community Service Committee doesn't have anything on the agenda tonight.
Thank you. Councillor Wall, Waterworks Committee.
Waterworks Committee has no report, Your Worship.
Thank you. Transportation Committee, Councillor Draycott.
Thank you, Your Worship. Nothing for transportation in committee this evening.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Public Safety Committee has nothing on the agenda tonight.
Thank you. Councillor Appa, I know that besides everything else you're involved with, you're also involved a little bit in, this is Bike Week in Portage la Prairie. And do you have any information for council? I understand there's activities going on all week.
Yeah, there are actually activities going on all week because it is Bike Week this week. But the one that I did end up sponsoring was for the cookie ride that they have going on. So I bought some ice cream and some treats for that. So that will be served and it's all free. That's with the Transportation Committee, I believe. Also happening at PCI, there is the coffee house that we're having from 7 until 9 on Thursday. So this year, what we're supporting is Doctors Without Borders to fulfill our global fundraising activity that we needed to do this year. So that's just some things going on.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Appa. Now, before we adjourn committee, we're going to have question periods. So if there's anybody in the gallery who'd like to ask council an easy information-seeking question, emphasis on easy, you're welcome to come up to the podium and ask a question. We'll endeavor to answer your questions for you. Going once? Okay, well, hearing no questions, committee is adjourned at 6:51 p.m. Thank you for coming out, everybody.
Catherine has pigeons.
You're a pigeon. Pigeon.
There you go.
That's right.